Okay, this is the latest Geo from the Geo Ranch. It's in excellent condition. I'm just going to walk around here and give you kind of a visual on everything. It's got an Optimus stereo system in it that works nice. Carpets, it really could use like a shampoo or maybe just a really good vacuum. I wouldn't say that they're just dirt. It's just dirt on the floor. I vacuumed it 2 or 3 times. You can see how nobody's ever drove in this side of the car. Just a commuter car. Kind of shoot through here to give you a look at what's here. The car is just in excellent shape. There's nothing that it needs but gas. Here's a little something I make. If anybody's interested in one, holler at me and drop one in the mail. Just a piece of, actually you just make one. It's a piece of conduit, and it's just cut off on an angle, and it just sets on the back. But that way these hatches never fall on your head, because that's what they do. Now let me just go through on the other side. It's got 90,207 miles on it now. I think I've drove it about 300 of those miles. Back up and give you a shot of the whole thing. This is a good commuter car. Doesn't need anything at all. Just drive it. Right down to the battery terminals are serviced and painted so they don't corrode. It's got a 30,000 mile engine in it, a 30,000 mile transmission in it. It works beautiful from the test drive I showed. It's like brand new. New belts, new timing belt, new water pump down there. It just doesn't need anything. It's a 1990, and the nice thing about this Geo is it has no EGR system on it from the factory, so the system can't plug up. This car, you just drive it out 150,000 miles and go through it one more time. Let me walk all the way around it and give you a good visual. Actually, I can close the hood, give you a little better visual. Just a sharp car. Close the doors. Alrighty. If you need a commuter car, you need to get some good gas mileage. This is a 50 mile to the gallon car if you can keep your foot out of the gas and drive the speed limit. We're excited to get this one off this spring. We're using this money for our new tilapia fish tanks, so we're excited about that. We're excited to get somebody into a better fuel economy car too. Alright, well, we thank everybody for looking. Alright, I'm just screwing the front rotors up. Doing some pads with the calipers done. Make these things look brand new again. Alright, I'm just pulling the axles out to repack them. Excuse me, I'm yawning. And pulling these old wheel bearings out. And everything looks like it's in pretty good shape. Ball joints are nice and tight. Brake lines look really good. I don't really see anything wrong with it. In fact, the wheel bearings still feel good. But I'll get those beat out of there and we'll get some new ones in there. Get some new grease in those CV boots. Alright, I've just pressed the front wheel bearing in on the inner and the outer. What I wanted to show you is there's an inner spacer here. You can see my finger move up and down. It goes between, it's just a piece of pipe, and it goes between the two bearings. When you put that in there, don't tap the bearings together so tight that you can't move that with your finger, because now I'm going to slide the hub on, and the hub has to be able to move that back and forth a smidge so it can line up and pass through. In fact, let me show you what I'm talking about. This hub right here, that goes through the middle of the bearings, and one bearing rides here and one bearing rides back here, and that's the centerpiece. That's that steel hub. And so you want that centerpiece to be able to move so it can line up when it hits here. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and throw this together. Now that is installed and perfect and nice and quiet. And when I say quiet, because I want you to listen to something. This car drives just perfect. It just, everything is a little bit wore out on it. Except for listen to this wheel bearing. Can you hear that? That's a bad wheel bearing. You can't even hear that going down the road. Now listen to this one. No noise, but it barely spins. Bad wheel bearing. Now look at this one. It spins completely free, and it sounds like it's full of gravel. That's why we're throwing everything away. You find me a car with 130, 150,000 miles on it that isn't that way. You cannot tell that stuff in a test drive. And that's why we put new wheel bearings in. Alright, I'll show you how to pop these wheel bearings out of a Geo. I think you can see underneath the vise there. Alright, there we go. And just like that, terrible old wheel bearings gone. Alright, just getting the drums turned out. They're turning just beautiful. The cutters on this side, they actually look to that side to see it. And from the metal that's being ground is actually centrifugally being held up inside here. So it's hard to see. But, there we go. You can see the, touched it. That's the machine part. This is the unmachined part. Cutting from the inside out. It's beautiful. Another 15 years of operation is all she'll need. Alright, just everything looks pretty normal here. Your rear trailing shoes are always like brand new because the emergency brake uses those. Car stops on the fronts and it barely uses the rear brakes. These are original. They're about 50% wore out. And let me slide around to the other side here. I just put these brand new brake shoes in it, so you can see the same thickness on the emergency brake. That'll probably never change. And then we're back to brand new on this side. Technically, when you do a brake job on a Geo, you could just replace the leading edge shoe, and one set would last you not 30 years, because you do rear brakes about every 15 years or so. Alright, and then this side's completed, and it's really important when you're doing these yourself to anti these everywhere. The pivots, the emergency brake pivots, just everything where the emergency brake cable pulls through. You're going to have this thing, won't be apart for a long time, so rust and dust is your enemy here. And then when you're done, what I do, watch any of my other videos, every one of them, I paint it all so the hardware can't rust from road salts and stuff. I like it that way. And then this side here, just a cheap can of black paint. Makes it last for so much longer and makes it so much smoother. And yeah, that's pretty much it. And then I've already got the drums over here. And they're already got new wheel bearings installed. They're turned and smooth. I think I shot that in the video earlier. And I'm going to put together, and that puts new wheel bearings, 3-pack CVs, brake pads, drums are turned. I'm trying to think of everything that I did today, quite a bit. I've been at this since this morning. yeah, we're getting there. The rolling part of the car's taken care of. Alright, that's what a proper brake job looks like when it's all done. Just like at the factory, everything was painted and clean. You're going to anti-seize all the lug nuts. And dust caps are installed. Everything's back to factory new. You know, FYI, I've never serviced a Geo that had good wheel bearings. It cracks me up. Everybody, when I'm out test driving cars and stuff, looking at for one of these cars, I just act like a normal, regular person, and the nonsense and lies people tell, and all kinds of crazy stuff. Oh, I love it. Everybody's so untruthful about their car. They can't just say, yeah, it's just a wore out beater. I drove it for 15 years and that was it. Alright, well, I'm on to the next part of it, and I'm not even sure what the next part is. I got about 10 hours in the day on it and I'm tired and done. Alright, I gave you a listen to it before I took it apart and it had a bad wheel bearing. Now take a listen. Well, you can hear the shoe scuffing a little tiny bit, but that's just perfectly quiet. That's how it's supposed to be. Oh, it's a beautiful day this morning. Look at that. A little pressure wash and these things look brand new again. Oh yeah. The whole car looks brand new. Alright, I'm not going to get my camera all wet. Get this all done and move on to the next part. Alrighty, just getting this engine and transmission installed up in here. The engine's hanging up there now. Got the new clutch assembly on it. This particular car is getting a 30,000 mile engine and transmission in it. The transmission that was in it, I didn't like how it shifted into second, so I picked one of those up, and at the same time got a good deal on a motor, so that'll be nice. It's almost like brand new again. The 30,000 mile engine and transmissions from Japan are excellent. I like them a lot. Okay, alright, so I gotta get the old tranny there and the new tranny going in over there, and get that all swapped up in there and get a good test drive on it and stuff. The new tires just showed up from the tire shop, and yeah, it's looking sweet, coming right together. I'll do another update here in a bit. Here's a little trick. Before you install your new throwout bearing, take and lube up the throwout shaft, and don't hesitate to paint the heck out of it. This is just nickel anti-seize that I use on everything. And then the pivot here, it goes into a steel bushing in or a brass bushing in the tranny. You can take and lift this up. Hold on, let me set it down and I'll lift it up. You see how it moves up like so. And then you can get the anti-seize down in that lower bushing and in the top one. Let's see. Dun, dun, dun. Ooh, very nice shaking. There we go. Get all lined up. And now that'll slide. Jeez, it's like an earthquake. Now that'll slide nice and free on there. No sticky pedal. Just like that. Alrighty, I got the new 30K tranny in here. Love these Japanese trannies. Just got the putting some plugs in it. New tune-up parts on the motor. The runs beautiful. This transmission shifts perfect. I'm very happy with this. In fact, the most Geotrannies work excellent, and one that has 30,000 miles on it, God, it's just amazing how they fall through the gears. Really like that. Got the obviously it's got, you know, new belts, water pump. Just got a nice shiny water pump back there. All that happy stuff. Yeah, works, runs good. Very happy. I'm very happy with the tranny. The engine's always worked great. Alright, something I want to point out on this car. I've been going way out of my way to come up with these. They're getting farther and fewer between. This is a non-EGR motor. It has no EGR system on it. You can spot them on the stickers. I don't know if you can read that, but it conforms to US EPA regulations. And but not if it was sold in Canada, which is ass backwards from how it should have been, because the US has tougher regs. But that comes down to California emissions. Yeah, no, this is a super great motor. Nothing to plug up, no EGR passages to have problems with. The you know, good compression on the motor. You know, this is just the ideal car for just getting down and dirty into fuel economy. You know, it's a good commuter car. This is something you can get in, and if you can drive the speed limit and keep your foot out of it, you know, you really can get, you know, in the high 40s, 50 miles to the gallon. Alright, something that I do here when I'm lubing the tracks up and the doors, and those are the tracks. You can see the silver stuff is the lubricant. And then, I don't know, I'll just show it. I was going to show you something else, but hold on. I got the, I don't have the lock linkage hooked up yet. That's what I was going to show you. Let's start with that. So, I just had the keys out of the, or the key locks out of the door. I've got the other side apart still. That's what a key lock looks like when it's out. And, I like to take them apart and lube them up. Makes them work nicely. I was thinking to myself here a minute ago, most people don't know what a door lock looks like when it works. But all you're doing on the Geo is, I'm trying to reach around the door and open and close it. Can you see that? Hard to hold the light and the camera. So on the Geos, the door handles are always broken. I'm sorry, I'm trying to move the seatbelt out of the way. The door handles are always broken, and it's these plastic tabs here, and they just break off. And they only break off because the door mechanism's not lubricated, and they get stiff, and they just snap off. You just take them apart and lube them up, and they last. They just never break when they're lubed. I like to say everything lasts another 15 years, but truly, as long as they stay lubed, there's no reason for them to break. And then they're easy enough to take out. You just take the 210 nuts out on each side and turn the key so it clears the hole, and you pull those things out and lube them all up. I go through and lube all of the linkage all the way up to the door handle. Actually, drove the car to town the other day, so I put all this on in case I needed to let somebody in. But this is how the mechanism works. Pretty simple. It's all very simple stuff, and then obviously the seat belts and ratchets and whatnot. But yeah, every once in a while, you know, and literally, like on this car, you probably don't have to do it for 10 more years, but at some point you gotta pop those things off and lube them. Probably a good indicator the door lock needs to be lubed is when the windows need to be lubed up. Alright, I've got this lock out and I'm getting it all lubed up. What you find on a lot of Geos is the keys don't work on the door. Part of it is because the door handles are all broken and people get used ones and put in, and they don't switch the lock cylinder out because they can't figure out how to pull the C-clip out. And I'm holding the camera too close. There's this clip here that you got to take out to pull the lock out. It's a pain in the butt. So I just take all the locks out, and I just take them to the local locksmith and have him take them apart and make them like brand new again. It's really the only way to make them right. You'd be amazed at how many keys work in the ignition and the rear hatch, but not in the doors because nobody lubes the doors up. And it breaks this tit off the, pull it around here, and it breaks this off, this arm right here, and that's what's connected to the rod that opens the door just because it's not lubricated. You lubricate them, they never break. Everybody says, oh, Geo makes a crappy door handle and bad window regulators. Well, if you got something that's 10, 15, 20 years old and you don't do some maintenance to it, of course it's going to break. Alright, I'm going to get this all stuffed back together and move on. Alright, so when these door locks are done on these Geos, the key should just turn, just no problem at all. Door's locked. Oops, guess we should unlock it. Should pop right open. I mean, just one finger. You don't have to pry on them. Locked. And you should feel the stop. That's the stop. And when they get stiff, what happens is you don't feel the stop. And you pull them up a little farther and they snap. And I'll go stuff the other side back together. Yeah. I think that and window regulators are the most important thing on the cars. It doesn't take anything to make them get high gas mileage. It's the door locks and the creature comforts, since they don't have any other options. Alrighty. Just got done redoing this door. Works perfect. God, it's nice to have a door lock that works good and windows that roll up and down. Locked. Most people wouldn't think that's a big deal unless you've owned a Geo before. Most of the door handles don't work on them. Alrighty, got the brand new tires sitting outside. I'm going to slap those on there and then it's time to start doing some detail work. Get her all cleaned up. Okay, I got the new tires here. I wanted to show you, they're not obviously not put on the car yet, but if you listen, you can hear them. They're full of centrifugal balancing beads. That's the best way you can ever balance a tire. These tires are fully in balance from the very beginning to the very end. You'll never drive a car smoother than with balancing beads. Very, very nice. This is the sweet spot in a little tiny car. Oh, it's a beautiful rainy day out here. Taking a test drive here. I've actually drove this like a couple hundred miles now. It's fabulous gas mileage. I haven't checked it because I haven't filled it all the way to the top, but it's got to be in the, well, without even a question, up in the upper 40s. I bet it's around 45, 47 or something, just from watching the gauge, because I drive these things all the time. And I'm not even trying hard. It's like right now I forgot to be in 5th gear. There we go. This car, just like, until you put centrifugal beads in your tires, this thing's like brand new. It's smooth. God, it's just really smooth. Very happy with it. I do so few of these. I really go way out of my way to make them just perfect. Yeah, just straight. This 30K transmission is so smooth. You get used to driving these Geo trannies that work fine, that have 150. My own personal one's got 175,000 on it. Well, maybe 180 now. And it works great. But after driving this tranny that's got just 30,000 miles on it, it just floats through the gears. You know, it's like backing up 20 years. But the car works great. I'm very happy with it. God, it just runs perfect. See, I'm back and forth. Okay, look at this camera thing, and I lose my shifted hand. It's just a good cruiser. God, it's beautiful out here in the springtime. The river there. Yeah, I think anybody that is looking for a a commuter car, it's going to be really happy with this. I don't see any reason why you can't drive this thing for years and years and years. You know, run this thing out 150,000 miles and send me an email and we'll do it all over again. These early non-EGR Metros, they just don't have anything to plug up. They go and go and go. You know, and it's like the clutch kit that I took out of this thing. Honestly, I'm sure it's probably original because the car's only got 90,000 miles on it. But, you know, it was only half wore out, you know. But, you just, you know, now it's got all new wheel bearings, and I went through the axles, and the brakes are all done on it, and drums and rotors are turned. I mean, there's just nothing left on the car that's not, you know, I don't like to call them brand new, and I only restore the drivetrain and wash the car up and, you know, throw some seat covers in them if they need it. But the drivetrain, you know, I can't call it brand new, but let's be serious. When we're back in that 10,000 mile range, the engine and trannies are 30,000 mile motors. So, I mean, without even a question, it's like backing up the car to, God, it's raining hard out here. Backing up the car to, an honest, you know, 30,000 miles. It's got brand new tires on it. Just put them on last night. New wiper blades. All the lights work. Heck, even the dome light works, which is rare on the Geo. And it's not usually the bulb burn out, usually in the fuse panel. Yeah, everything works in here. The heat works good. It's got a nice stereo in it. I just listen to Tom works a little bit. This guy's got a weird voice. But yeah, it's got a radio. It went through the windows, the door locks. Had the keys redone so the driver and passenger doors, so the whole car has one key now instead of two. Gosh, I mean, there's just it's just like all the other ones, you know. You can watch all the videos. Nobody's ever had a complaint or a problem with any of them. They're a fairly simple car, and you know, this is what I do. I make Geos do it, and I've been doing it. I've been doing this since the 90s. I've been doing this back when gas was cheap. Yeah, so if you're looking for a good commuter car and you're looking to get some good gas mileage, this is it. I have to tell you, we've been messing around with a 94 model, and it's actually over in Montana right now. I don't get it back for a couple of weeks. I've loaned it out, but I drove over there and back twice in the last couple of weeks. And coming back from Missoula, in fact, if you click on one of my videos, there's just a little spot where I flip on my flip phone and take a picture of the gas pump. But I ran out of Missoula to Spokane, which is 200 miles. And I had 3 people in it, completely packed with luggage. So much that the rear tires were rubbing on the inner fender well, and I had to actually get out with a piece of metal and bend them up a little tiny bit so it wouldn't rub and blow the tire out. And the speed limit out of Montana is 75, and fully loaded with 3 people, that is full throttle, 4th gear, 5th gear, back and forth shifting. That's just all this little car will do. You know, if you're by yourself or with just a passenger, you know, you can scream through the passes. But when you fully load one down, you know, you start working it. We came through the pass. If you've ever been through Montana, pulled that 6% grade, just wound up tight, raced down through Idaho. When I got into Spokane, we got 50 miles to the gallon. The video says 48, but if you look, I put 3.9 something gallons in it, and we were at 200 miles. And obviously I can't count, but that's 50 miles to the gallon at almost wide open throttle. I mean, I beat the crap out of it. Got the pass, was full throttle, 3rd, 4th gear in that 6% grade. I mean, we were burning all the fuel up in it. Then when I broke through Spokane to Washington, I came out of Vantage off the Columbia River up and back in eastern Washington, headed to western Washington. That was 3rd gear, wide open throttle, running with some RVs and just zinging in and out of them, and we should have just got crap for gas mileage. But the motor, that cross flow head on these things, the harder you run them, the more efficient the engine is. You know, you either idle them around on the freeway and you get really good gas mileage, or you just zing them way up and you get pretty decent gas mileage. My motor's a little altered, a little higher compression and whatnot, but not enough to make that big of a deal. And more people are talking about running the Geos harder to get better gas mileage. Our speed limits around here are so slow, but in parts of the country where you drive fast, I got people on these blogs and posts that are talking about getting good gas mileage up in the 75, 80 miles an hour range. And I'm used to driving in the 50, 55. But when you think about it, you burn a little bit more fuel per hour, but you're going so much faster. You just get there quicker, and it works out to be good gas mileage both ways. It's a new thing for, well, it's a newer thing people are talking about. So just something I'm working on. It's something to keep in the back of your head if you're, obviously going to be driving a Geo. You know, you don't have to drive around super slow, but there seems to be a huge difference between like 60, 65 and 70, 75. They actually seem to be getting better gas mileage up there because you're going a little faster. I don't know all the dynamics of it yet, but I'm getting ready to, when I get my 94 back from Montana, I'm going to start running some tests on that, and I'll post the stuff up on the website, because so far we've been doing some advancing on the timing, which is way out. It's like 15 degrees too much advance in the car, and you just drive it a little different. And I'm going to pick up 5 miles to the gallon doing that, and didn't have to slow down or anything. So considering that's a 5-minute deal under the hood of the car to get 5 miles to the gallon, it probably destroys the emissions. The nitrous oxides probably go through the roof on the emissions test because of it. But it's 5 more miles to the gallon, so you pick and choose how you want to tackle that. I'm actually going to get it set up and take it down and run it through the emissions test so I have a sheet on it. What else was I going to say? Oh, not much. This video is about this car, not about what I've been up to. If you send me an email, like normal, these things usually sell the first day. And please, if you don't know Geo Metros, God, I hate to say it, but if you're looking for a Geo, email me and we'll set something up if you're one of the first people to come look at it. But lately I've had people that want to come out and look at Geos because the gas prices are high, but they don't know anything about Geos and they don't really want to drive one. If you need to drive something that's plush, I mean, even like a Ford Taurus or a Contour or a Chevy Lumina, or you're driving a Malibu around, or a Honda Accord, Toyota Camry. You get my drift. If you're driving fairly nice cars, mid-size, full-size sedans, and you're happy with that, and you just want to get 25 more miles to the gallon, well, it's just not going to happen. So please don't waste my time. I don't mind talking to you, going back and forth in emails, but if you want to drive a Toyota Camry and you like power windows and stuff, this is not for you. This is just a good commuter car. You get in it and you haul ass back and forth to work. When you pull up to the pump, you save half. I mean, it costs half as much to drive this as it does a Honda Accord or a Toyota Camry. When you start hitting the 50 mile to the gallon mark, the 55